You sit down at the table, dice in hand, character sheets ready, snacks at maximum. The adventure begins, and then chaos. The rogue is trying to pickpocket the paladin again. The wizard is knee-deep in a rules argument with the DM, and the barbarian, well, he's scrolling through his phone completely checked out. Sound familiar? Dungeons and Dragons is an incredible game, a mix of storytelling, tactics, and improvisation. But here's the thing, no matter how great the DM is, or how epic the story might be, the players make the game. And sometimes we, as players, and I'm speaking for myself here, can be the problem. So, how do you make sure you're not the player everyone secretly groans about? More importantly, how do you make the game better for everyone at the table, including yourself? Let's break it down today because the time has come. Yes, that's right. I'm finally making a video for players. Let's roll. D&D is a cooperative game. Yes, even if you're playing a sneaky rogue, a brooding warlock, or a morally dubious necromancer, the key word is party. It's a D&D party. You're not the lone protagonist in a solo campaign, you're part of an ensemble cast. That doesn't mean that you always have to agree with the group, but it does mean you should think about how your character's actions affect the game as a whole. If your rogue is planning on stealing from party members, ask yourself, is this fun for everyone or just me? Betrayal can be interesting in storytelling, but only fun if everyone's on board. Similarly, if you're playing the classic lone wolf character, consider giving them a reason to stay with the group beyond it's what the story demands. Maybe they need protection, maybe they see the party as useful tools, or maybe, just maybe, they actually start caring about their teammates. Imagine a paladin and a rogue who constantly argue about morality. That could get tedious fast if it devolves into repetitive bickering. But what if, over time, the rogue starts to see the paladin's idealism as inspiring rather than naive? And what if the paladin, instead of stubbornly insisting on righteousness, starts to understand that morality isn't always black and white? That's where you can make great moments happen. Having a deep backstory is great, but it shouldn't be a cage. Your character is meant to evolve over time, shaped by their experiences in game. A noble knight might be forced to compromise their honor to save innocent lives. A selfish thief might find themselves unexpectedly willing to sacrifice for their friends. That's character growth. And it makes a far more compelling story than sticking rigidly to, well, my character wouldn't do that. Likewise, don't use I'm just playing my character as an excuse for being, well, a disruptive asshole. If your character constantly picks fights with the party, refuses to cooperate, or deliberately makes choices that ruin the fun for others, you might want to reconsider how you're playing them or your motivations for playing the game itself. A well-developed character has layers. They have reasons to grow, change, and sometimes compromise. A great way to incorporate flexibility is to think about key moments that could challenge your character's worldview. If you're playing a cynical mercenary, what would it take for them to risk their lives for someone else? If you're playing a goody two-shoes cleric, what happens when they're forced to break their own moral code for the greater good? That's where the real fun begins. D&D isn't just about rolling dice. It's about the moments in between. It's the whispered discussions around a campfire, the hesitation before stepping into a dark corridor, the triumphant celebrations after a hard-fought battle. The best way to immerse yourself in these moments is to engage. That means paying attention when it's not your turn. It's easy to check out when the DM is narrating or when another player is having a big moment, but being present makes the game better for everyone. reacting to what's happening, asking questions, being curious about the world your DM is creating. And most importantly, support your fellow players. If the bard is delivering an impassioned speech to rally an army, don't just sit there. Play along. Do something your character would do. Cheer, scoff, or roll your eyes, whatever. Give them something to work with. If the rogue finds a letter from their long-lost mentor, ask them what it says instead of just waiting your turn. You're not just interacting with the DM. You need to interact with the other player characters around you as well. These small interactions build a richer, more immersive game for everyone. Nobody expects you to memorize every rule, but knowing how your abilities work and being prepared when your turn comes up keeps the game moving, and is much appreciated by DMs worldwide. If you're a spellcaster, have your spells ready before combat starts. If you're a fighter, know what your attack bonuses are instead of flipping through your sheet every round. A little preparation goes a long way in keeping the momentum going. It also helps to be concise in combat. But look, even the most seasoned players are guilty of this at various times, myself included. Sometimes it's because what we want to do depends on what happens right before our turn in initiative order, or maybe we just haven't been able to come up with the best course of action our characters should take. But stay attentive, especially during combat, while you're waiting for your turn in initiative. Try to figure out your plans. Be aware of what's happening, and the whole combat goes smoother for everybody. D&D takes effort from everyone. The DM spends hours preparing, everyone sets aside time to be there, and the group is relying on each other to make the session great. Respect that by showing up on time, paying attention, and making sure everyone gets their moment in the spotlight. If you're naturally more talkative, be mindful not to dominate every conversation. If you're on the quieter side, challenge yourself to step in and claim space when you have something to contribute. And if you have feedback, whether about rules or story direction or something that's bothering you, bring it up constructively with the group after the session. Instead of, the session was boring tonight. Try, I hope we get more chances to role play. Maybe we can slow things down next session. Giving feedback is great. Doing it in a way that helps rather than complains is even better. Sometimes, though, issues arise at the table that are better served by talking to your DM privately. Maybe you feel like your character isn't getting enough spotlight, or a fellow player's actions are making the game less fun or making you feel uncomfortable. If something is bothering you, don't bottle it up. Talk to your DM. The best way to approach this is with honesty and a problem-solving mindset. Instead of saying, "You never let me do anything cool," try, "Hey, I feel like my character hasn't had many big moments lately. Is there a way that we can work something in?" Most DMs want their players to have fun, and they'll appreciate you bringing up concerns in a constructive way. But what if your DM doesn't take feedback well? If they dismiss your concerns or refuse to make adjustments or get defensive? Well, that's a red flag. A good DM listens. If you're constantly frustrated with the game and your concerns are being ignored, it might be time to evaluate whether this is the right group for you. At the end of the day, D&D is supposed to be fun for everyone involved. If the group dynamic isn't working and attempts to fix it have failed, I know it sucks, but don't be afraid to step away. A bad game isn't worth suffering through. There are always other tables out there, and life is too short not to make the most fun out of it. Great D&D isn't just about rolling dice or pulling off epic battle maneuvers. It's about collaborative storytelling, engagement, and making the game fun for everyone, and that includes yourself. Being a great player isn't about knowing every rule or having the most dramatic backstory. It's about contributing to the story in a way that makes the whole table excited to be there. So, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received about being a player? Drop it in the comments, and remember to hit that like and subscribe button for more D&D content. And if you found this useful as a player or a DM, maybe send this to someone in your group. Now grab your dice, roll for initiative, and go make some memories.